And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gents. This is about Casanova from Orlando, Florida, on this awesome and international podcast, Good Wine and Great Laughs, the podcast for wine lovers, ladies and gents, summer movies, reviews, and hot topic discussion, ladies and gents. Welcome to Casanova. If you are new to my YouTube channel, what I do here every Saturday morning at 10 a.m., ladies and gents, I do the wine of the day, ladies and gents. I'm going to open this wine shortly right here. I already opened this wine, the bottle. Is because I was having some tech. I thought I did the first take. I thought everything was fine, but the audio was not being recorded. I don't know why, so I have to restart it. So the one here, the one's already open, but the one's here. And I'll talk about this one shortly since the picture's available on all my social medias. If you like to find out this wine on your local wine store. And if you like the review that I make, listen to the picture once again was going to be on my social medias during the summer movies months of June and July. I do summer movies reviews, and the movies that come to the theater or come to a platform such as Netflix, Apple TV, and so forth. I choose a movie and I make a review. And during the rest of the year, ladies and gentlemen, I have the hot topic discussions. Hot topics. Discussion is always topic that can affect our life directly or indirectly. So if you like the work that I do, ladies and gentlemen, I ask only for 3 simple things from you. It's not going to cost you a thing. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, click on the like button for any video you watch, and share this video with at least 5 people you know. Appreciate your support, all right? So, ladies and gentlemen, today is Saturday, August 22nd, 2026. The weather here in Orlando is going to be partly cloudy, highs of 97 and lows of 77. I can't wait for the fall and the middle fall and the fall gets here because it's ridiculous hot here in Florida. So, this one here, ladies and gentlemen, I already have this one here before. The reason I'm bringing today again is because due to my work schedule, this week that was very, very busy. And once I got off work yesterday, I just want to go home. I didn't want to stop anywhere but the red lights, the red traffic lights that I have to. Other than that, I came straight home. So I do not have time to go to the wine store like I normally do and do my searching and go through it. So I was tired. So I pick up one of my favorite wines that I have here at home, and I'm going to present for you guys again. If you missed the first time, now you know. There's a PAPI wine, ladies and gents. The white label in the light probably now can see, but say PAPI is a Pinot Grigio vintage of 2024. PAPI, ladies and gents, is a Chilean wine company, but in this particular one, in the Pinot Grigio, this one is made in Italy. All right. So it says right here, the Puglia region noted as one of the most famous wine producing region in Italy, combining old world winemaking tradition with the new age technological innovation. Only the finest hand-picked grapes, along with our unique processing and fermentation, allow us to present this fine quality Pinot Grigio. Once again, vintage of 2024, brand PAPI, made in Italy. And trust and believe, ladies and gents, you will taste one of the best Pinot Grigio that you can buy on a budget. All right, everybody know the economy is not, it's not that great. Everybody, most of us are still living from paycheck to paycheck, so you don't want to spend too much money in the wine. This wine costs less than $10 here in Orlando, Florida. I quote you, but like I say, you may find it high cost maybe in New York, California. You may find it for $20, but compared to the other wine prices now, wine brands, these are very, very good Pinot Grigio, ladies and gents. Very crispy, delicious taste, smell, tastes delicious, and I give a 10. For this wine. I'm gonna drink this wine for a long time, and I definitely recommend it, ladies and gents. So let's talk about the topic of the day. First of all, let me address what happened on my last episode. I posted my episode here on YouTube. It's available on YouTube for you to see. episode number 2 related to part 3 about the fifth of corruption. But when I post it on Spotify is the one that distributes to all regular podcasts. For some reason, one of the songs that was using that is on the Zettel, they say that the music cannot be played, and there's a list of a lot of countries I didn't even know, because my first one went through with no issues. So I don't know what the issue, the music and Zettel, but you cannot watch it on a regular platform, the episode 2, but here on YouTube, you definitely can watch it. It's available on YouTube. So, all right, let's talk about season 13, episode 3. I'm talking about one thing that's bothered me for a long time, the hypocrisy of the GOP pedophiles, moral hypocrisy they present. So I want to give credits to YouTube Turks, young Turks, and Jesse Delamore. All right. So for you to understand the chronological way that I'm playing these videos, it started 3 years ago. No, not this report that's more longer than that, but I want to be like, find some so you can understand that it's not a thing that's happening right now. It's happening for many years. But I'm going to play the first video that I reported about 3 years ago in Young Turks. And then the second video is going to be with Jesse Delamore. And the third one is going to be another Young Turk video or something that happened here in Florida recently. All right? So let's keep the drink to wine. Keep my some snack that I have here. And at the end of the videos, I come and give you my 2 cents about it. So, enough talking. It is showtime. Once again, this is the 3 years old video that I told about it. Hang it tight, listen to the report. Let's go.
For more than 2 years now, basically every Republican in and outside of politics has pretended that they care a ton about saving the children, protecting them from predators, from groomers. Well, let's test that theory. Let's test how much they actually care about discussing these predators when they're found, because Matthew Sheffield over at TYT Investigates has uncovered a former Trump official who has pled guilty to child porn charges. And we're gonna give you all the details, bearing in mind that this stuff is as dark as you're probably already thinking it's going to be. He is a former Commerce Department official in the Trump administration, sentenced to a 5.5-year prison term after pleading guilty to possession of child pornography. This is Adam Hageman, also sentenced to 5 years of parole after release and a mandatory requirement to register as a sex offender. He was apparently arrested back in November of 2020. You would think he would have been busy with the whole election thing, but no, he was found to be a member of an online group chat dedicated to sharing images of child sexual abuse. Here are the details. He shared with members at least one video of a child being molested, claimed to have sexually abused a child as young as 15, and indicated that he wanted to sexually assault children between the ages of 12 and 16 years old. Prosecutors asserted that they found dozens of child sexual abuse videos on his phone after they executed a search warrant against him. He also requested of the other members in this group that someone find, quote, a dad with a young kid he will rent out to us. Wow. So those are the crimes that he committed, and he will now be spending a number of years in prison, as seems 100% deserved. Prior to that, before serving in the Commerce Department under Donald Trump, he worked at Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA as a campus event coordinator, events that were frequently attended by underage children. If you want to see a picture of this individual there, he is on the right, to be clear. And he apparently really got around in Republican circles. You can see him hanging out with Sebastian Gorka, which is a thing he chose to do for some reason, Madison Cawthorn as well. And there is reason to believe that others might be caught up in this investigation as well. It seems like there was another individual, Ruben Verastegui, I believe, sentenced in April to 12 years in prison following a guilty plea. do you think?
Yeah. So I want to talk about who's the most guilty here. And I want to explain why we have the political landscape that we do in this regard. So first of all, to be fair to Sebastian Gorka and Madison Cawthorn, two people I generally despise. So my feelings on them are clear. They don't know that that guy's a child molester.
Right.
Okay. So they happen to take a picture with him. It happens.
Of course.
Okay. Now, Charlie Kirk, on the other hand, hired that child molester to go talk to children. So now I'm sure, I'm not sure, but I would guess, I would hope that he didn't know. Okay, but you're doing a thing where you're trying to literally change the minds of kids. And it's funny because they're always like, oh, the left is trying to indoctrinate the kids. We have an entire organization that we're super proud of where we try to indoctrinate kids. It's called Turning Point USA. Then you've got like an even bigger responsibility to be careful and to do vetting, etc. And you've got these predators going around in your organization and using your organization. Look, we don't know. We know that he wanted to molest kids. We know that he trafficked in pictures and other things related to kids. We know he's been arrested for that. And look, he also liked babies. It's just the most disgusting thing you could imagine, okay? So now you're not gonna get babies at Turning Point USA. I'm trying to be as fair as I could possibly be, right? But you are gonna get kids in some of the age ranges that he liked. So, and for the Trump administration people who are Trump people constantly attacking others for being groomers and pedophiles and etc. Well, if you're accusing others of it, and there's somebody inside your own house doing it, then you've also got an extra responsibility.
Right.
Okay. So now, why does the larger point is, why does the right wing call everybody groomers and pedophiles? QAnon now, unfortunately, I know it's unbelievable, but 15% of the country, at a minimum, believes in QAnon. That there's a ring of powerful people who molest children and sometimes even drink their brain juice. Okay. Now, this guy didn't drink their brain juice because that's a thing that's made up. That's no one does that, right? Not even the worst right winger in the world does that, okay? So, but they believe that there are powerful people inside the government who do this. Hey, look, it turns out it's a Republican. It turns out it's a Republican. Is that going to change their mind at all? That maybe it's not the leadership of the Democratic Party, but that it could be a range of people that are just happen to be pedophiles in different places, or that maybe it's the Republicans that do it. No, it'll never change their mind. Because they're doing it out of emotions. They're not doing it out of facts. This is a fact, the guy got arrested, okay? So now look, the reason they do it is a thing called projection. It's in their heads. The reason why the right wing makes that accusation 1,000 times more is because a lot of them, not all of them, of course not, but a lot of them, they're thinking about it a lot. And I'm gonna give you the weirdest analogy here. When I've been playing fantasy football for about a quarter of a century now, so we're one of the first ones to adopt it. And in the beginning, when I started playing, I loved it so much, I thought everybody was doing it. I'd go talk to other football fans, and I'd be like, oh, how many points did Barry Sanders score for you? And they'd be like, what are you talking about? I was projecting, because it was in my head, so I thought it was in their head. And of course it wasn't. That's what they do with pedophilia. It's not in our heads, we don't know what the hell they're talking about. But they come up to us and they're like, oh, the pedophilia guys are terrible, aren't they? They run everything, don't they? We're like, what? Because they think, well, I would like it. So I assume you like it. I assume they like it. I assume the people in power like it. No, they don't. No, it's just you who likes it. So stop accusing other people when it's actually you guys who are doing it. Max.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, there is a cabal of powerful people who are attempting to, and in some cases, successfully grooming and molesting kids. They just happen to all be working with and around Donald Trump. And it's not that much of a surprise when you remember that Donald Trump is the guy who would very casually talk about how sexy his underage daughter was and how much he wished he could date her. And this guy is not the first, second, or the fifth person to be involved in this. There were state campaign chairmen for Trump that were caught sending solicitous messages to what they thought were children. There were people who were trying to groom campaign staff. This is a problem that was given safe harbor because the campaign and these organizations simply will not look into you. They benefit from not looking too deep at the people who want to work for them. Because if they have any kind of quality control, they would have literally nobody left to work for them. And that safe harbor has resulted in terrible cases like this. And it is clearly something that Republicans are going to pretend does not exist and try to sweep under the rug when it comes up.
Yeah, I'm gonna disagree a bit more actually with you, Cenk, and not in total. I think that the projection part applies to a number of, again, the regular base. I'm gonna differentiate the base and those who are pushing the stuff. Not tons, but if you can conceive of a world where this many people want to engage in acts of pedophilia, you're out of your mind. I cannot imagine that being a popular thing because to me it's reprehensible. If to you it's reasonable, then that's weird. That doesn't mean that you want to do it, but that's very weird. Whereas for the pundits, the Ben Shapiros, the Matt Walshes, the Charlie Kirks and stuff, I don't think that they're projecting wanting to do this. I don't think they think it's happening at all. I think they find it to be an incredibly useful distraction, and that's it. And I will be more fair to Charlie Kirk than you just were. Not only do I not think that he could have known that this guy had those views, I also don't think he should feel particularly bad for having hired him, because how would you find out? Honestly, I can't imagine how he would have known. However, I will challenge him in one way. I just asserted that you don't actually care about this stuff. It's not real to you. It's just a convenient grift, and you have a chance to prove me wrong. All you have to do, Charlie Kirk, is talk about this story. If you actually care about these things, you don't have to apologize for him working for you or anything like that. But you do have to talk about how terrible it was that he was doing these things and that he was in these high-profile circles in Republican, the Republican Party. But of course, you're not going to do that. When the QAnon people that run the QAnon forums, and it turns out that they've got tons of child porn, they never talk about it. They cared about Epstein only insofar as they could kind of reference something about Clinton, but as soon as Trump was saying and doing the weird things, they never mentioned that. Trump talking about Ghislaine Maxwell, they never mentioned that. Again, when there's actual pedophilia, they do not care, which is only consistent with this being a convenient political narrative and not something they really care about. But again, prove me wrong, Charlie Kirk. Talk about this actual story.
Yeah, so John, look, let me clarify. I agree nearly 100% with what you just said. So the main point of clarification that you need there is, so for the QAnon forum guys, so they're the ones that are kind of in the middle. They're not like the big right-wing pundits, but they're not just grassroots either. They're like leaders within their social media circles, right? Those folks are probably the single most dangerous subset, because they're thinking about pedophilia 24/7.
That's true.
And they're assuming everyone is doing it, and they're telling everyone is doing it. There's a reason why they're assuming that. Those are the guys that if I was the authorities, I'd look most into them. And they're like, oh, how dare you, I have freedom. No, you don't have the freedom to molest kids. So I'm worried about what you're doing, okay? And so now, for the Matt Walshes of the world, John, I know, I totally agree with you. I don't know that he thinks it and he's projecting it, but what they're doing is slightly worse, because they can tell that they're profiting off of that when they talk about it. So they talk about X and it either brings in money or it doesn't, right? It resonates or it doesn't. So if it doesn't, they're like, if they said, hey, you know what, immigrants are wonderful, everyone's like, boo! They're like, okay, never say that again. That doesn't make money, right? When they say, hey, everybody's pedophiles, that resonates and they make money. So they say, oh, good, I can make money. It's hateful, it's not true. It's a conspiracy theory, it's disgusting, it makes people hate each other, but I'm making money off of it, so I don't care at all. So that's why the Matt Walshes of the world are the most immoral in a sense, because they're like, oh great, a thing that I know isn't true, I will profit off of, and sow division and hatred throughout the country, okay? But
like Jesus would.
But the most concerning part, guys, is the one that's the toughest to deal with. And by the way, there's two different subsets there too. Among the grassroots on the right wing, some have actually been molested. And so that's why it resonates with them. And they think, oh, it happened to me. It probably happens to everybody, right? And for those people, my heart goes out to them. Like, I want help for you. I don't mean that in any kind of condescending way. I genuinely, you were molested, and that is incredibly traumatic, etc., right? But there's another half who it resonates with, because they think, yeah, isn't everybody thinking about molesting kids? And that's the one that's the moneymaker for the right-wing pundits. You appeal to them, you goad those guys on, you're gonna make a lot of money, Because unfortunately, there's a lot of them. And they're all going towards a certain area. That's why they don't want to hear that it's left wing. Like that it's not left wing, right? They don't want to hear that. They want to hear self-affirming, oh, I think it, but they're the ones who are, doing it. They're the evil ones, right? And that's a big number, and that's disconcerting.
Yeah, the unforgivable thing here, I think, is the silence as well. I mean, to John's point, when something like this happens and your first response is, let's talk about something else, let's sweep this away and get it out of the headlines, that is sick, and that enables further abuse. We saw that in the church. We've seen that in countless organizations. If there is people really interested in policing this kind of abuse of children, then Charlie Clerk, Matt Walsh should be able to talk about this loudly and condemn it in their own party. But what we see is not just silence, but trying to blame shift and what about and muddy the waters of this, which is one of the most disgusting things I've seen.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm going to add one last quick thing. Look, when it's ours, we call him out right away. Anthony Weiner, what a clown, what an idiot. Why did he do that stuff? That's terrible, terrible. It's so easy. Why would we try to protect him? It doesn't make any sense to us. Bad guy, you call him a bad guy, you move on, right? But for them, they don't think about it like that. They're tribal, us versus them. So when Trump wishes Ghislaine Maxwell well, twice, he had a chance to correct it. Literally the biggest groomer in American history. The technical term like groomer, it means something. You cultivate people, kids, for molestation. That's exactly what she did. The biggest in American history. And he's like, oh, I wish her well, she's a friend of mine. And none of them on the right wing called him out. Not one. Yep. What does that tell you? That tells you they don't care about the issue. They just care about politics and profits. Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.
They're protecting pedophiles, when they are blowing our budget, when they are starting wars overseas. I'm sorry, I can't go along with that. And back home, people agree with me.
Yesterday, Congressman Ro Khanna from California and Congressman Thomas Massie from Kentucky both appeared with Caitlin Collins on CNN. A little inside baseball, a little behind the scenes, a little BTS for you is I was supposed to be interviewing Ro Khanna yesterday at 8 p.m. and instead he ended up on Caitlin Collins. We're gonna do it today. We rescheduled. But you know, I don't mind. I don't mind getting bumped for a major television network. It's fine, you know. I'm just a YouTuber. Anyway, some very interesting things were said in this interview. Some that I'm going to get a follow-up on when I talk to him coming up. I think that interview is probably going to post at 6. It hasn't even taken place yet, but I think we're going to get it up at 6 p.m. tonight. Very, very important things were said. Some I'm going to get a follow-up on from Ro Khanna, like I just said, but also from Thomas Massie, who seems to be just going scorched earth on the Republican Party, his own party, saying that they are protecting pedophiles, talking about the withholding of swearing in of Adelita Grijalva, the new congresswoman from Arizona, who finally got sworn in yesterday, but was prevented from doing her job, from representing her constituency. Another boot on the neck of democracy in America, of representative democracy in this country. Well, let's begin though with Ro Khanna, who said some things that I'm going to ask follow-ups about, but really just getting to the heart of it. This is plain speak. This is real talk from what is becoming a very important member of the House of Representatives.
Yeah, so what happens here when it goes, if it passes and it does have that deluge of Republicans? I know you said today you thought 40 to 50 could potentially vote for it. Is that right?
Well, I think the speaker's concluded if you can't stop the parade, you might as well lead it. And so now he's saying, I want to have the vote. I do think that you could get 30, 40, 50 Republicans voting for it, because what are we talking about? We're talking about rich and powerful men who abused young girls and told people in junior high to go recruit others to be raped or abused. That's what we're talking about. And we're saying that these victims want to expose the men who did this to them. Some of these men still have buildings named after them. Some of them still have scholarships named after them. Enough. And so I think when it's actually a vote on the House floor, do you want these files released? Republicans and Democrats are going to vote yes.
I like that line, that he believes that the speaker has concluded that if you can't stop the parade, you might as well lead it. I don't know exactly if that's what we're looking at with Mike Johnson, but it is certainly him trying to save a little face. But the question that I'm going to ask a follow-up of later when I talk to him is about, we're talking about rich and powerful men who abuse young girls and told people in junior high to go recruit others to be raped and abused. That's what we're talking about. And we're talking about these victims, and some of them have buildings named after them, scholarships named after them. The natural follow-up from Caitlin Collins should have been, whoa, who exactly are you talking about? Because it's obviously not just Donald Trump who is implicated in some of the most horrific crimes against children that can be committed. It's others. The release of the Epstein files isn't just about, let's get Donald Trump. Oh, we're frothing at the mouth to get Trump. It's about righting a wrong. It's about exacting justice. It's about consequence for people who abused the most innocent among us. That's what it's about. And if Donald Trump gets wrapped up in that, so be it. If Bill Clinton gets wrapped up in that, if Bill Gates get wrapped up, what if anybody gets wrapped up in that? Burn them to the ground. Speaking of burning them to the ground, it seems that's what Thomas Massie was doing last night when asked questions from Caitlin Collins. And I'm here for it. Look, Thomas Massie is absolutely a right-wing conservative. This guy is not a wokester, whatever that means. He's not a radical left lunatic. He's a far right-wing Republican. He's one of these dipshits that poses with photos with his whole family holding weapons of war around the Christmas tree. He's one of those guys. He's a guy who got up in the face of congressmen when they were talking about gun reform in the halls of Congress. He's not a reasonable or rational person. So when you find him doing this, it must mean that the rubber has hit the road and people in his district aren't going to stand for him protecting pedophiles. Because I don't believe him to be so principled that he wouldn't back Donald Trump's play in this manner if it didn't mean direct harm and a threat to his position in Congress. I could be wrong. I'm open to being wrong, but I don't think I am. Witness this little interaction between he and Caitlin Collins.
But when it comes to the motivation here and how MAGA voters feel about this, I mean, you speak to these people. You're someone who has been outspoken against the White House, but you don't generally disagree with some of the things that President Trump does or has run on policy-wise. How do you explain to voters why the president is fighting your discharge petition or fighting the release of this documents from the Justice Department?
Well, I vote with my party 91% of the time, and which means I have agreed with the president 91% of the time. But when they're protecting pedophiles, when they are blowing our budget, when they are starting wars overseas, I'm sorry, I can't go along with that. And back home, people agree with me. They understand, even the most ardent Trump supporters understand sometimes he gets bad advice, sometimes he gives bad advice, and we wouldn't model our lives after him, his personal life. And they're okay with that. I mean, you can still like Donald Trump in Kentucky and like what I'm doing and what Ro Khanna is doing, which is trying to get transparency.
Well, and we were watching Adelita Grijalva be sworn in today, and as soon as she was sworn in, she walked over and signed this discharge petition. Seconds later, you went up and shook her hand, as you noted, before any other Democrats had actually even gotten over to her side.
You couldn't hear what I said, but I apologized to her for what my own party did, which was to keep her from being sworn in and depriving an entire congressional district of representation for 49, 50 days, which, I won a special election myself. I think I was sworn in within a week. And there was no reason to delay this other than the petty thing that now the speaker is accelerating. He tried to delay this vote. He deprived a congressional district of a congressperson. And now he says, well, okay, I guess I lost. We'll have the vote next week.
So again, let's drill down on what this question is. I think that's important to do that all the time. How do you explain to voters why the president is fighting your discharge petition or fighting the release of these documents from the Justice Department? What do you explain to your voters, and how are they feeling about this? And he goes on to indict his party, his own party. He's not talking about radical left lunatic Democrats. He's not doing all the Trump stuff. He's saying, but when they're protecting pedophiles, they are meaning the Republican Party. He goes, I agree. I have agreed with the president 91% of the time. But when they are protecting pedophiles, when they are blowing our budget, when they start starting wars overseas, I'm sorry, he says, I can't go along with that. Maybe I'm turning the corner on my buddy Thomas Massie here. I doubt it, but it seems maybe so. And then again, once Adelita Grijalva was sworn in, he was the first person to go over. They show a little B-roll of it while he's telling the story, that he went over to apologize for his own party. And he goes on to describe the same thing I've been banging on about for years, about the boot of the Republican Party on the neck of Democratic representative government. He apologizes. I apologize for her for what my own party did, which was to keep her from being sworn in and depriving an entire congressional district of representation for 49 or 50 days. Maybe Thomas Massie is a wokester. Maybe he is, like me, a social justice warrior concerned about democracy, the continuation of democracy in the United States of America. And then the final nail in the coffin of the Republican Party, as far as I'm concerned, there was no reason to delay this vote other than the petty thing that now the speaker is accelerating. And he goes on to explain. You watched it. You heard it. I got follow-ups for Ro Khanna. I guess I got a couple of kudos for Thomas Massie, but I'd love to know what you think about this. Is this the nail in the Trump coffin, this entire Epstein thing? I don't know. I got a lot of questions for Ro Khanna. If you have some, again, I haven't done the interview yet. Put them in the comments of this video. I'll scroll through, find some questions, and see if we can't get them answered. You can do that in the comments. You can also call the voicemail line. I'm not going to be checking voicemails for the questions, though, so make sure those are in the comments. 714-576-4054 if you want to talk about this more globally. You can also email me, daily@dollemore.com. I love and appreciate you very much. I'll see you next time. We're going to stay on this. Be genuine. Take care of one another.
Governor Ron DeSantis' appointee to Palm Beach County's clerk of courts and comptroller has been arrested on child sex abuse charges. So let me just pause here before I continue. This is a story that has to do with and will detail instances of sexual abuse. I want to give you a warning of that in case you have a difficult time hearing details like that. I know that there are many people out there who have been abused horrifically, and I just want to make sure that you are able to tune out if you need to. Now, with that said, Mike Caruso, the man accused, was one of DeSantis's closest allies in the state legislature prior to his appointment, and even accompanied the governor and, of course, Congressman Randy Fine on a trip to Israel a few years ago to sign a Florida censorship bill that Caruso authored. So more on that in a minute. First, let's actually get to the really disgusting and horrific details of what Caruso is accused of doing which his own wife alleges is a life in jail kind of thing. And you know what? It turns out that her husband agrees with her assessment. In fact, the person who turned Caruso in was his own son. When Caruso tried to dissuade his son from speaking to the authorities, he allegedly warned that he would get arrested and go away. Now, thankfully, that didn't deter his son. Now, 67-year-old Caruso faces felony charges including child molestation, kidnapping, and lewd exhibition. Now, according to the August 18th arrest affidavit, the charges stem from the suspected abuse of a boy in Orange County, Florida. The affidavit was poorly redacted, and everyone knows at this point, everyone was able to deduce that the person that Caruso allegedly abused is his own grandchild.
Damn.
So the boy, who is described as younger than 12 years old, told his father that Caruso sexually touched him and exposed himself on several occasions between the fall of 2024 and August of 2025. Now, Caruso, of course, denies the allegations and even suggests that his ex-wife made the whole thing up. She fabricated the allegations to poison the child against him. But the boy detailed an incident during a family cruise in which Caruso allegedly offered to buy the boy ice cream in order to separate him from his parents. So the child said Caruso never bought ice cream, but instead assaulted him in private. The boy's uncle later recalled that Caruso had changed clothes when he returned. So gross, so creepy. So the boy also told authorities that Caruso took him fishing at a pond in November of 2024 and touched him while the two were alone. He also said that on Thanksgiving Day 2024, Caruso fondled him and exposed himself during a game Caruso called Tickle Monster, which involved touching the boy's buttocks and crotch. Fair warning, one of the most stomach-churning allegations the boy made is in fact detailed in the affidavit as the others were. On or about October 22nd, 2025, you're looking at the actual affidavit right now. Victim's father, redacted, observed victim engaging in sexualized behavior with victim's younger brother. Specifically, redacted observed victim place his testicles and penis upon the face of his younger brother. He immediately intervened, and victim told redacted that when on a family cruise in the summer, his grandfather, Caruso, placed his pee-pee in his mouth and peed, and it was nasty. When a family member confronted Caruso with these claims back in December, Caruso admitted to taking the boy fishing and isolating him from his parents on the cruise. But he denied ever abusing the boy. In February, the family member, which again we can deduce is his son, spoke with Caruso again in a conversation recorded at law enforcement's request. Caruso argued the allegations were impossible because sexual attraction is directed toward one sex. And since he is attracted to women, he could not be a sex offender, the affidavit states. Right, okay. Well, that has to be the weakest defense I've ever heard in my life. But the allegedly disgusting pedophile continued speaking and only incriminated himself. He said, quote, "If you report this to the authorities, there won't be any of me left, I can tell you that." He then offered, in the recording, to flee and never return to Orange County, Florida, where his family lives. Now again, luckily his son turned him in, but the harm caused to the boy is very real. He's been going to therapy for treatment since April, and the affidavit discloses that his therapist noted that he's suffering from symptoms consistent with trauma. Since these allegations emerged, Governor DeSantis, who appointed Caruso in August of last year, signed an executive order suspending him from office. I mean, it's the least he can do. Now, ironically, Caruso supported the death penalty for pedophiles as a Florida state lawmaker in 2023. As this case plays out, no one should be surprised if other survivors come forward, sadly. Why do I say that? Well, the Florida State House's website notes that Caruso's affiliations include the Delray Beach National Little League, which he coached for 30 years. Damn. He was also a Club Scout and Boy Scout leader. And if convicted, it remains unclear whether he would advocate for his own execution. Something tells me unlikely.
And ladies and gents, once again, I'd like to give you credit to Young Turks and Jesse Dollemore, ladies and gents. So I made a note here real quick. So in the first video, now, like I say, it was 3 years ago. So that was before Charlie Kirk was assassinated, was killed. That's why they kept saying, oh, Charlie, come up here and say something about it. Defend your boy, homeboy right there. That's a note that I make to make clear on that. Now, as you see, ladies and all the reports right here, this is the picture of they're talking about. That's the guy right there, the Florida Clerk. And guess what? A law was passed right here by DeSantis that now they want a death penalty to all pedophiles. And I said that before, this is going to be the end of the GOP party because they are infested of pedophiles in their ranks. Don't believe me? That's the first picture I show you. That's another one right here. No, that's not the one. Where is it? I save on my phone. So there's another one. Right here. You say a federal grand jury indict ex-West Virginia delegate and teacher Dave Elliott Preet on felony charge. The Republican indicted on child sex charge after pushing for stricter penalties. Right there. You can see right there, ladies and gents. That was on the Newsweek report. I believe I have one more. That's it. Another one here. Okay. As CNN Politics, as billionaire Republican Rick Jackson blanketed Georgia's airways this spring with ads vowing the crackdown on undocumented immigrants if elected governor, a company in his healthcare empire was in the throes of costly legal battle of threats of the immigrant force. And also has something to do that him with some kind of pedophilia stuff there that he has something to do with that. He said after denied the wrongdoing by June 22nd, days after it became the GOP nominee for governor, the company agreed to settle that you'd give more than 5,000 current and former immigrants work a share with $3 million payout and waive paid fees. So, ladies and gents, don't believe me? You can Google. You can Google. It's like I said, it's a double standard because remember when the QAnon whatever came with the thing that there was a ring of pedophiles in a pizzeria somewhere, I believe it was in New York or Washington D.C. That somebody, a lunatic went there, start shooting people. They say Hillary Clinton has something to do with that, and some people that are being killed. They're nonsense. But if you look into it, I promise you, ladies and gentlemen, if on the Epstein dossier investigation was a bunch, Donald Trump's name was not involved in nothing. And it was a bunch of, I would say, Joe Biden, Obama wasn't there. Trust and believe me, Trump would have released that yesterday. Had been released this a long time ago. But since his name has been now showed, I believe it was 5,000 times, a lot of times Donald Trump's name was in the Epstein files, and the corruption. And that's the thing, see, they call themselves the party of family values. And hold on, because that was very good too. It said right here, now the Republican way, save the fetus, starve the child. Honor the soldier, abandon the veterans. Talk about, there's a case of some Navy ships, I believe, aircraft carrier, that the food is very, very low. The sailors are barely eating. Some try to commit suicide, but there's no outrage on that. Enrich the corporation, fleece the workers, protect the abuser, child molesters, and pedophiles, and then blame the victim. Quote the Bible, but ignore every verse. That's the Republican way, ladies and gents. That's the Republican. Now, are all the Republicans pedophiles? Of course not. But also, like it now, that gentleman that was brought there on the Jesse Delamore, he's known. He say Massey, I believe his name, something like that. You heard it. You know, he said, hey, when it comes to this part right here, I'm not agree with that. I'm not going to be involved in pedophilia, protect pedophiles. I'm not going to be involved on senseless war. And I agree. I wish having more Republicans like him. But unfortunately, some of them did not participate on any acts of pedophilia, but they are also quiet. They are silent. They are not called out the spade. And that's the problem, ladies and gents. And that's a lot. Almost every week, you're going to see somebody here and who was a pedophile involved in child ring, child abuse. Who? Boom. Here you go, Republican. Now, there's a company now there. I think they selected Byron Donuts, but the person that was running against him, he was stating that he was also involved in some child abuse situation. So I'm not sure about it. I did not read any reports, but that was just the guy that was running against Byron Donuts. Now that's going to be the GOP nominee for the governor here in Florida. So it's going to be David Jolly for the Democrats and Byron Donuts. Byron is lame, is a sellout, is an uncorks, so definitely, just because he's black doesn't make anything. No, that's a bunch of house Negro in the big house that was just against their own people. So that's Byron, in my personal opinion. So that's it is, ladies. You saw the reports. There's too many of them. You can go on your phone, you can Google, and you're going to see a lot. Now, that's the difference between the Democrat Party and the GOP. Once you call out, we call out. If somebody that was doing some stupid shit, lock them up. Corruption. Now, sex crime against children. If that's happened on any of the Democrat candidates or members, I'm 100% in favor of call them out. Don't hide anything. That's the difference between one party to another. You're not going to protect nothing. Lock them up, send them to jail, and whatever happened to them in jail, that's the justice of the incarceration system. Now the prisoners, is going to do what they always do. Whoop their asses, or they may, in some cases, they kill the children abusers. So you reap what you sow, ladies and gents. And once again, I stand with what I'm saying. The GOP is a party infested. Just to go to somebody's house and house is infested of roaches, same way, is the GOP party, infested of pedophiles. And the sad thing about it, they are very omiss. Those that are not involved, they do not call out. Do not. Only maybe just that gentleman right there. That's it. All right, ladies and gents. Closing this podcast right here. I hope you like it. This episode today. Don't forget to click on the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new to this YouTube channel. As well, share this video or any other video you watch with at least 5 people I appreciate your support. So please be safe, be kind, and be blessed. And do the best what you can do, what you got. Salute. And I see you next Saturday for season 13, episode 4. Holla!
Pushing my rap like the push I on the block. Holding my down, sucker rappers get lost. Coming from the bottom, moving straight to the top. Coming with the